What's up y'all, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be an exciting one, at least for me it is, because I finally have my hands on the Beauty Bay Make Face palette. This launched fairly recently, and when it did, the fair to medium shade sold out pretty quickly. So when it came back in stock, I snatched it up and it finally arrived to me. But this is one of those all-in-one face palettes. Like, you can do everything: your eyes, your face, your lips, the whole shebang, one palette. I feel like we've really seen like an uptick in trend with these. We've got the ones that have been coming out from Makeup Forever. Made by Mitchell has his curve case and was it color cases, and then we even have brands where like their whole aesthetic is this kind of thing, like Salt New York, except those you kind of pick out your own shades, build your own palette. And I've really wanted to try all of those, but they're so expensive. I couldn't justify the price point of something that I didn't know if I would like or if I would even get any use out of. So when Beauty Bay launched this at an affordable price point, I thought, okay, this is perfect. This is the time to pick this up, try it out, see if I like it, and if I do, maybe I can branch out to the other ones and we can do comparisons of formulas, colors, undertones, all of that, and kind of do like a roundup at some point. It would take me a while to get to all of them, but we'll see how this goes. So we're gonna play with this. We're gonna create a whole look using just this palette and of course a few other products. But before we do that, let me give you the lowdown on this product. So like I said, this is an affordable price point. It does retail for 28 American dollars, which to me is very affordable. That's like the drugstore end of things. It does come in two different shades. This is the one for fair to medium skin tones. I almost dropped it. And it does come in one for tan to deep. Now this includes 11 creams and 1 powder. So the powder is this one right here. It's like a brightening setting powder. And you do get this little plastic overlay on all of them. So if you're curious how to use them, it has suggestions. I'm probably gonna rip those off and just go for it. But like I said, we're gonna create a look with this. So let me go ahead and get my hair out of my face, scooch all in a little bit, and we're gonna play with the Beauty Bay Make Face palette. Okay, so we're zoomed in, my hair is out of my face, I have already primed my skin. I went in with my Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer. This is a holy grail of mine I've loved forever, but y'all, I finished it. Finally, after all this time, it's done. That was a goal of mine, to finish this by the end of the year, because it felt like it was never ending, and I did it. I'm excited, but I digress. Let's go ahead and jump into this palette. So I did go ahead and take off all of the little plastic overlay, and we're gonna dive into this. We're gonna go ahead and start with foundation. So like I said, I've never used anything like this before, so we're kind of learning together, but I'm gonna go ahead and swatch this one right here. This is C1. It feels very, very creamy. Not quite balmy, but just very creamy, and I wanna see if this is gonna be like my perfect shade match. I think that's gonna be pretty close. What do we think? Like, yeah, I think that's gonna be it. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in with a Sigma F48 brush. This is their new soft coverage foundation brush. And I'm just going to come into this, just dipping my brush in. And I'm gonna apply this like I would any other foundation. I'm just gonna kind of stipple it on the skin. See what kind of coverage we can get, how it lays. Is it gonna grab? Is it gonna, you know, kind of patch up or anything? That's a perfect shade match. I'm impressed. I really thought looking at this, I was gonna have to mix in some other things. I'm always a little bit darker than I think I am. I have it in my mind that my skin tone is way lighter than what it is, which is why I end up with a foundation that's too light half the time, but this is gonna be perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on half my face, and then we'll see what it looks like. All right, y'all, so this is what we're looking like. This is the half of the face that I've already put that cream on. The coverage is really good. I would say it's kind of like a medium buildable coverage. I am gonna see if I can build it up a little bit more, but right out the gate, I'm definitely getting a medium coverage. It does feel very lightweight. It still feels a little tacky. I am gonna let this kind of dry down on its own. I'm not gonna set my whole face. I'll probably just do my under eye, but I'm liking the way it feels. I'm liking the coverage so far. Like I said, very lightweight. It doesn't feel super sticky or slippy on my skin, and I'm not mad about it. But let's go ahead and see if we can build up just a little bit more coverage right here on my cheek, where I have a little bit of redness, some freckles, things like that. and see what kind of coverage we can get. I'm also noticing it's not sinking into like any lines on my forehead. It's not grabbing any texture around my nose or around my mouth. That is where I have a slight bit of texture. All of that texture that I had from that allergic reaction to that sunscreen is gone at this point, but I do have like some old acne scars from when I was in my 20s and things like that. But this is building up really nicely on itself. So far I'm liking it, I'm impressed. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up my face and then we'll come back and we'll carry on. Let's go ahead and do some concealer. So for concealer, I like to have a little something kind of brightening and pinky under my eye. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with this one up here. I wanna use as much as I possibly can. This is B1, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick that up with a BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy A506 brush and do just like a little bit of brightening and correcting under my eyes. See what this does, how it sits. I'm curious to know if this is going to accentuate texture or like really sink into my lines under my eyes. I don't expect it to be like crease proof. I feel like everything is, but is it something that is going to make my under eyes look worse? All right, so I definitely think that offered a little bit of color correcting. I don't have like super dark circles or anything under my eyes. I do have like a little bit of shadowing, but nothing crazy. But I'm gonna go ahead and go in with that same shade that I used as a foundation and go over top of this and finish off this concealer. But it does look nice just right off the bat, but we'll see, you know, time will tell. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I don't know if it's the most flawless my under eyes have ever looked, but it's still kind of warming up to my skin and sinking in. So we'll look at it again before we go in and powder the under eye. I want to do bronzer, blush, and highlighter before we move on. So let's go ahead and pick something out for bronzer. So we have a lot of options in here. This is going to be my coolest option up here. This one is called Cold Brew, and I think we're gonna do that. This is gonna be way too orange for my skin. That's something I could probably use like on my eyes. But yeah, let's go ahead and go in with this shade up here called Cold Brew. I'm gonna pick that up with a, I don't even know what this is called. This is an IT Cosmetics brush. Everything is worn off of it. It's one of my favorites. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick this up, and we're going to start kind of bronzing up the face, adding a little bit of color back in. I don't really do contour. I do more like a bronze tour type technique with my bronzer. I like to really bring in a lot of warmth just because I am so fair skinned. I feel like that's really important. Okay, so this is what we're looking like on the one half of the face. It is very buildable, it is very creamy. It blended in really nicely. It didn't patch up, it didn't like start to pull up the product that's underneath it. So it is layering on top of itself really, really nicely, which you would expect from like the same formula across the board. But I do like that. It's very soft. It does have that cool undertone, but it doesn't have that gray undertone. So it's not like a true contour color, but it's also not like a super warm bronzer either. But so far I'm liking this, y'all. I'm so excited about this. Let's go ahead and do some blush. So I'm gonna go in with the only logical choice in this palette, which is this shade right here. This is called Mochi or Mochi. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but I'm gonna go in with a BK Beauty 109 brush. And again, building up color. I wanna see how all these products build up on each other, what the pigmentation is like and all of that. And I realized I forgot to tell y'all what I'm working with over here as far as my skin goes. So I am 39 years old. Not yet. No, I'm not 39 years old. I will be in a few days. I am 38 years old. I do live in a very hot, humid climate. I am down here in Houston, Texas. I have a normal skin type. My skin stays pretty even keeled across the board. I don't get very dry. I don't get very oily. And I generally prefer like a light to medium coverage foundation and something with a more like natural skin-like finish to it. So that's what I'm working with for reference. I meant to put that in at the beginning and I completely forgot. I got too excited about playing with this palette, but that is a beautiful blush. It is very blendable. It's a little more peachy than I thought it was gonna be based off of what's in the palette, but that could absolutely be my undertone peeking through. but that's pretty. It's buildable. Again, I'm not having any patching, any skipping. It doesn't feel like it's getting heavy or looking cakey, anything like that. And it's blending very easily, very nicely. All right, I love that. We're looking good. Let's go ahead and do some highlighter. So we do have a couple of different options in here. We have this pinky one down here called Peony, and then we have Halo up here. I'm gonna go ahead and swatch both of these on the back of my hand and see what they look like. They feel like the same formula as everything else has felt like in here, but let me go ahead and do a little swatch. So this is the shade Peony right here. It is definitely more on like the iridescent translucent side. Like it just has like a nice like lit from within glow. And then this one is the shade Halo. This is more of like a champagne-y shade right there. I don't know how well you can see either of those. I will, if I haven't already, thrown in some swatches of this palette so you can see what everything looks like. But okay, those are actually really pretty, but I think what I want to do is I want to go in with this Peony shade, the pink one, just because we've got like a pink cheek going on. It's going to go really well with the eyeshadow palette that I'm going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this up with a Singe Beauty F07. This is a little bit more on the denser side, and I feel like this picks up liquids and creams really well because it's not super fluffy. And I'm just going to start to kind of pat this on with the brush. I might actually need to go in with my fingers, but I am getting a little bit of a glow. You can kind of see that a little bit. Like I said, it's nothing blinding, just a nice, pretty, like, she's healthy, she's glowy, it's summer. All right, that looks really pretty. I like the way that looks. Like I said, it's not blinding, but I like it. But I want to put that same shade that I put on my cheeks on my lips. So I'm going to go ahead and line them really quick with a MAC lip pencil in the shade Dervish, and then we're going to pop that on the lips. Okay, so I'm just going to pick up this shade that I used on my cheeks with my finger, and I'm going to pop this on my lips. That is very creamy. That's very pretty. It doesn't have like a smell or a taste to it. You know how sometimes these 2-in-1 products that you can use on your cheeks and your lips kind of, they have like a weird taste when you put them on your lips. I don't taste that. I don't know how hydrating this is gonna be, but we'll see. I like the way that looks. I think it came out really pretty. It does have sort of like a soft matte finish to it. It's not super drying though. I don't think it's the most hydrating thing in the world, but I want to see how it lasts, how it holds up, if it's going to suck the life out of my lips or not. I am going to do sort of like an unofficial wear test with all of this. I'm not going to have time to do check-ins or anything, but I will come back like at the end of the day before I take this off, show you what my face is looking like, how it wore and everything. But before we go ahead and finish up my makeup, I want to set just one of my under eyes with this brightening powder right here, this stark white powder. Let me see. It does feel very like finely milled, but it is very white. So I'm just gonna set my left eye over here, and we'll kind of compare at the end of the day, see what the unset eye looks like versus the set eye. So I'm just going in with a Singe Beauty F04, and I'm just going to very lightly set my under eye. I don't want to set my whole face. In the summer, I don't like to throw on a whole lot of powder. I will if I need to, but generally I like to let my face breathe. And this does still feel a little like, it's not sticky, but it's like a little like tacky, kind of like I just have like skincare on, but I want to see if it dries down. Sometimes these take longer. All right, so this is the eye that I set with the powder. I did bring it down the side of my nose and kind of like right in here, just because I wear glasses and I want to see if the powder is actually going to extend the longevity of this, if it's going to make a difference. But it doesn't really look a lot brighter on the side that I set with the powder, but it does look like it took down that shine a little bit, but it doesn't look cakey. It doesn't look like it's emphasizing the texture or anything like that. And then the side over here that I have not set still looks really good. It does look better now that it's kind of warmed up and meshed mesh with my skin than it did when I first put it on, but it's not emphasizing texture. It's not sinking into anything or like really caking up. So we'll see how this wears throughout the rest of the day, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw on the rest of my makeup, my brows, my eyes, and then set my face, and then I'll come back and give you my first initial thoughts, like first impression thoughts with this palette before coming back at the end of the day and showing you how it wears. Alright y'all, so that is going to complete this look. I love the way that my makeup turned out. I feel beautiful. I look very hydrated, natural. It feels very lightweight. It's not cakey. I do think it's dried down to like its full potential. It didn't dry down to a powder finish, which I didn't expect, but it doesn't feel sticky and tacky either. I did, however, go ahead and set it with the Urban Decay All Nighter Hyaluronic Acid Setting Spray that I've been testing out. I've really been enjoying this. It is definitely more hydrating than the original All Nighter without being like sticky and shiny and gross. I know one of you is asking about that. So far I am really loving this. This will be coming up in a future speed reviews video very soon where I can give you my full final thoughts on it. And I did go ahead and do my eyes. For that, I went in with the Beauty Bay Tropical Palette. I did film this look. It will be coming up very soon, later this afternoon, as a short. It has all the summer vibes and I'm here for it. But let's chat about this palette real quick. First impression thoughts. I really like this. I'm really enjoying it. We'll see how much use I get out of it organically, like after I'm done reviewing it. That's where the true test comes, because when I'm reviewing something, I really dig in a lot and use it a lot so I can get my full thoughts. But it's whether or not I'm going to reach for this over and over after I'm done with it. But first impression thoughts, I really like it. I enjoy it. Do I need every single shade in this palette? No, I don't think I'll get any use out of this, and I don't think I'll get any use out of this. I might be able to kind of mix these together to get like different bronzers, things like that. I do want to try it on my eyes, see how it holds up, and I'm kind of thinking maybe if I mix these two together, I might get a little bit of a better foundation match. This is just a slight bit too light for me. Not bad, not nearly as bad as the Hourglass or the Natasha Denona that I tried recently, but overall, I think I can get a lot of use out of it. I think for $28, this is a fantastic value, because when you think about it, you're getting 4 or 5 products in one, depending on how you use it, and I think it's great. I like the formula. It is definitely hydrating. I don't know how this would work for oily skin, because it does feel a little slick on the skin. It doesn't feel super balmy, but I think maybe if you go in with like a good oil control primer and set it down really good with a mattifying powder, you'll probably be fine. I will test it out that way so I can see how it kind of wears. I'll continue to test it, but I'm gonna go ahead and go throughout my day. Like I said, I am gonna throw in a quick little video of me just kind of showing you what the complexion looks like, how it lasted, and all of that. All right, y'all, so here we are at the end of the day. My pajamas are on. I'm about to go wash my face and crawl into bed, but before I did that, I wanted to show you what the makeup is looking like. This has been on for about almost 10 hours at this point, maybe 9.5, and I think it looks pretty good. It did kind of break down a little bit around my nose, but I didn't powder around there. I think in the future this is something that I do need to maybe powder around my nose and on my forehead. Sometimes I do that with foundations that I don't fully powder. I like to get around there at least, because that's usually where I have separation and foundations like to break apart on me. But as far as everything else goes, it held up really nicely. I didn't have any fading with the blush or the highlighter or even the bronzer. Everything still looks good. But when we get to the concealer, this is the eye that I set with powder, and it looks a little cakey under here. I'm not a fan of the way my under eye is looking, but this side over here that I did not powder looks really nice. I do have like a slight little bit of transfer from the eyeshadow, but my under eye isn't set, so I'm okay with that. As far as the cheek color that I put on my lips goes, it wore like a lipstick. It wasn't super hydrating, but it didn't dry my lips out either. But once I started eating and things like that, it wore off. But overall, first impression, I'm impressed with the way that this looks. I'm excited to keep trying it, using it with different primers, different setting sprays, different powders, things like that. And I will definitely keep y'all updated in a future speed reviews video. That is going to be it for this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I want to hear all of your thoughts down below. Have you ever tried any palettes like these? If you have, which ones do you recommend? Which ones do you love? Do you hate these? I want to know it all. But let's have that conversation, light up that comment section. And as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. As always, it means so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week, and I wouldn't want you to miss one. But until my next video, have a good one. Bye.